Andiswa, I'm still recovering from December because I overspent and this and that, and people asked me for this and I hired this and that and I couldn't afford it. None of that, because we're going to watch this video and we are going to do better, and we're going to make sure that this December is definitely different from the others. Hi team, welcome back to another video, and thank you so much for joining me yet again. If it is your first time here, andiswa.mojapelo and on this channel we chat about all things related to managing your money and adulting in general. So if that sounds like your type of content, please make sure that you check out our other videos, and if you like what you see, smash that subscribe button and become a part of the team that is gunning for financial freedom. So guys, today, as you might have seen, we are talking about how to stretch your December salary to avoid January. Now, this was a last minute thought on my part to do this video, and I hope I'm not too late, because I know some people have already gotten paid on the 15th. So I hope I'm not too late, but I think it's still early enough because I'm going to record it and upload it on the same day, because I feel like this conversation needs to be out as soon as possible. We're going to do better, guys. We're not going to complain about January again and again and again every single year. What we're going to do this year is put measures in place to make sure that we are balanced, our budgets are balanced, our spending is balanced, we are focused, and we want to start off the year on a healthy financial note. Okay, without wasting any more time, let's get straight into the tips. Tip number 1, debit orders. Now, this is usually the first trap. So let me actually provide a bit of context for the people who might be in a different situation. So most people get paid far earlier on in December than they do on their usual payday. And that is because I think companies want you to prepare, for the month ahead. Payroll is maybe on leave, and they want to pay you in advance for various different reasons. But the point is, you get your salary earlier on in December than you would on the other months, meaning that you would get paid on the 15th of December if you usually get paid on the 31st or the first day of the month or even the 25th. Now, this becomes a huge challenge because think about it. Festive season is already challenging enough on its own. And now you get paid on the 15th, which means you must survive half of December with that salary, plus the entire month of January until the end. And we already know that the festive season has its challenges. January is back to school, there's commitments for fees, and all of that added up with you getting paid halfway through the month of December really makes things more challenging than they otherwise would be. So let's get into the tips with that context, right? Number 1, debit orders. Okay, this is the first trap, because most of us, like myself, set our debit orders according to our payday. When you get paid early or far in advance, it means that your debit orders are going to be left unpaid until they run on the last day of the month. So if you're getting paid on the 15th of December and your debit orders are set to run on the 25th, 30th, or the 1st, it means that you need to carry that money, and we know how easy it is not to carry money over the festive season and not spend it. So tip number 1 is contact those service providers that are tied to your debit orders and actually arrange an early payment agreement with them. So basically say that, could you please deduct what you need to deduct at the end of the month on the 15th or whenever it is that you are getting paid in advance, to avoid having to hold that money and stay disciplined throughout the festive season. Guys, if you can do this, already a quarter of your battles are won, right? Because you will know that you would have taken care of the things and the fundamentals that you need to take care of, like your rent, your car repayment, and all of those things. So I got a notification from my bank in the first week of December, and they told me that they know that my salary comes in early in December, so they will be actually deducting earlier on than they do, which is on my payday. So I know that this won't apply for all my debit orders. So for the debit orders that it doesn't apply to, I will make an effort to actually call my service providers and say, look, I'm getting paid far earlier on. Please take your money before I spend it, or please take your money before I am tempted to spend it rather, and make sure that my bills are paid. So please do this. It does require a bit of admin and calling around, but guys, trust me, you will thank yourself on the 30th of the month when your bank balance is looking a bit, but you know that you've taken care of the fundamentals. So that's the first tip. I actually wrote them down, guys, because I don't want to miss anything. The second one is take out that bank statement and look for your scheduled payments. So now that you've taken care of the debit orders, the next thing you need to do is you need to take care of all the payments that you are still committed to, but don't run via debit order. Now, the best way to see these or to look out for these is to go to your bank statement. If you get paid on the 25th, then look at all the manual payments that you usually make on the 25th or the 26th or the 27th that you know you need to pay. Examples could be things like levies, it could be things like buying prepaid electricity, paying your child's school fees, creche, aftercare, all of those manual payments that you know will be due at the end of the month or the last day of the month. Rather look out for them from the month of November and pay them in advance and know that that money is out of your check account. It is out of sight, hopefully out of mind as well, and you know you are working with the rest. So once you've taken care of the debit orders and you've taken care of the manual payments that you need to pay as well, you are halfway there, because at least you know that what is left in your bank account now is only the things that you need to spend on, which are a bit more flexible. Tip number 3 is make a realistic Christmas budget. And I'm very specific to say realistic. Guys, you've been going home for the past couple of years, ever since you started working. By now, you have a good sense of the expected. And I know things will come up, but sometimes we often understate the things that we experience on a yearly basis. If you know that you need to buy one, two, three for Christmas and that is your responsibility, rather make sure that you write this down and you take account for it in advance. Also, draw down your Christmas budget, put allocated amounts to it, and already know what you're working with before you actually have to go out for shopping. Now, where you will find yourself spending the most amount of money is when you leave things to the last minute. You now want to do the budget on the morning of the Christmas day, on the morning of Christmas Day or the day before. Some things are out of stock. People are putting pressure on you to buy certain things that you didn't buy last year, and it's a mess. So it's fine if you have to do this budget with your family members, but rather start the conversation now, put an amount to it. What is each person contributing? What can they afford to contribute? And you can know in advance if people can't contribute and adjust the Christmas budget accordingly. Don't leave it to the last minute. That's how you end up being under pressure, because you know everyone's here next to you now on the aisles picking whatever they want. You don't have a plan, you don't have a grocery list, you don't have a budget. You're going to end up with things spinning out of control. So make sure that you have a realistic Christmas budget, one that speaks to the previous year and the years before that. If you know that every year a sheep must be slaughtered, factor that into the budget. If you know every year you cook for an unlimited amount of hours and the electricity always runs out, rather than factor that in upfront. And then if you have to make certain sacrifices, at least you know now before the actual day when you are under pressure. The next tip, which is tip number 4, could be a bit controversial, but I always promise myself to be honest with you guys, always, especially when it comes to matters of money. And I want us to build a relationship of trust, especially when it comes to sharing things that I've tried that have worked to my benefit. I feel like I owe you that, to be honest with you and to share those tips so that you can at least try to apply them as well. So, tip number 4 is, guys, negotiate that black tax, negotiate that family support as far down as possible during this month. And the reason I say that is because in most cases, most of us send money home for groceries and for the running cost of the household. But if you are going to be there for half of December or 3/4 of December, chances are that you are going to be taking care of those expenses yourself. Now, obviously, this tip only applies if that is the case, right? For example, for me, whenever I went home in December, or at least when I used to go home to the Eastern Cape to my home, and now I go home to my husband's place, which is the North. But when I used to go home, my mom knew that she wouldn't receive the monthly amount that I sent to her in December, because I'm there. I am able to tend to her needs. I am able to buy the groceries that she buys. So technically, she doesn't need that money because it was supposed to be dedicated towards something specific. Now, she was very understanding of this and it worked in my favor. And I could allocate that family support towards the Christmas spending, the groceries, and anything that I have to do. Guys, I know that this might not work depending on family dynamics, but I urge you to please at least try. Because if your parents say no, maybe you can also negotiate to half down the line and say, okay, can I please send you at least half of this amount or a quarter, depending on the situation and what the needs are. But I feel like this will save you some money, and that money can then be dedicated towards the things you are going to buy anyway. Because remember, if you've got 3,000 Rand in your budget only, and you send that entire 3,000 Rand home, and you don't have any money for actual groceries, running costs, electricity, and everything else that you'll need to buy when you're at home, you are going to have a problem of a shortfall in your budget. So try as much as possible to negotiate with the parents. It won't be easy, but trust me, it'll be worth it. And then tip number 5 is, you don't need to be on the streets every single day, guys. You don't need to be outside every single day. You could find alternative ways, more budget friendly ways of actually having fun without necessarily going out to restaurants, popping bottles, going to groove and all of those things. So you could look at things like home picnics, picnics at the park, at the reserve, hiking, movie night outside with a laptop and a blanket. I saw someone do that in a vlog and it looks so cool. You could look at, Netflix indoors with popcorn. You could look at taking the kids to the pool. If you have a pool in the complex, there are so many things that we can do that are way more budget friendly than eating takeaways and dining out. You could try out some recipes at home. Guys, the list is endless. But the point is, you don't have to be spending a lot of money on settling bills at restaurants every single day. You could also accommodate some of the things that I've mentioned in order to make some of your fun, entertainment, and outings a lot more budget friendly. Tip number 6, right, is if you already have a low fee account, right, a bank account, for example, I've got a time bank on the side. You guys know that I've mentioned what I use it for. If you've already got a low fee bank account on the side outside of your bank account, consider transferring your spending money to that specific account, right? This for me is one of the small things that you do that are truly game changing, because what you can do is, remember, you've settled your debit orders, you've made your manual payments, all the things that you need to pay for with the end of the month salary is sorted. Now you're spending money for the festive season. If you can allocate that to a separate bank account that doesn't charge you fees for swiping and all of those things, then you can use that bank account for your spending, and you can keep away from the credit card pocket. You don't have access to the overdraft pocket or the credit card pocket or your savings and your whatever that is in the normal transactional or the normal check account that you use. That is also going to help, because once you spend out of one bank account, you get to see that, oops, I'm running out very quickly, right? So for instance, if your budget for the festive season is 5,000 Rand and you go out on one day with your friends and you spend 1.3, you can already see that, you are running low on funds, and you don't have like other pockets and credit cards and stuff like that that's going to confuse you and make you believe that you have money that you don't have. So having a separate low fee account for spending is like, I'm telling you guys, it does work. Then the last one is, last but certainly not least, guys, be honest. Please, please be honest with yourself this festive season, and be honest with the people around you. And let me tell you why I say this. So I heard in a conversation the other day that there are people who park their cars when they go home and rather take rental, like rent, like, your expensive cars to go home with, so that they can look like they drive expensive cars, and they'll hire that car every time they go home for the festive, because they want to look like they've made it, and they want people to respect them for what they have and all of those things. Please do not lie to yourself, especially when it comes at a high cost of you now having to pay car hiring fees, and we all know that those peak in December because there's a huge demand. Please, please be honest with yourself, be honest with your financial situation, be honest with what it is that you can afford and you can't afford. I know often we complain that family members require a lot from us. They require this and that is broken and that needs to be fixed, and they want to slaughter a cow and all of those things. And there's those uncles asking for money left, right, and center. But the honest truth is that sometimes we also need to take responsibility of the fact that we are not honest, that we can't afford, right? And I'm not talking about the circumstances where you are put under pressure, even though you are honest. But if you can be, then be honest and say, look, I can't afford this. This is what I can afford. can we try this alternative? Because I can't do that. I can't take everybody out to a restaurant, but I can take you to the beach. Anything that will help you save money. So that requires you to first be honest with yourself and your financial situation before you disclose it to those people around you. I've said this before on the channel that I have a strong belief that people who genuinely care about your well being and who love you will understand. If you tell them that I don't have this, or it seems like I had this, but I don't, right? And this is the pressure that I'm under in terms of the commitments that I have. Genuinely, people who love and care about you will believe you, number one, and they'll trust that if you could, you would. But let's not lie and let's not put up a pretense of, we can afford things when we genuinely can't, only to come back in the new year and suffer. So, guys, those are the tips that I have for you in terms of how you can stretch your December salary in order to avoid January. So when we open up the year and I'm like, savings challenge, let's go, financial goals, let's go, vision board, let's go. Please don't tell me that, Andiswa, I'm still recovering from December because I overspent and, this and that. And people asked me for this and I hired this and that and I couldn't afford it. None of that, because we're going to watch this video and we are going to do better. And we're going to make sure that this December is definitely different from the others. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, as per usual, please make sure that you give it a huge thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so. 2023 financial goals, we're learning more about finance. We're diving deeper because we've learned the basics and you don't want to miss out on that. Thank you for watching, guys. See you in the next one. Bye.